Which part?
Why don't you go and represent companies that...
Oh, because the companies are they always send the marketing guys, and marketing goes out, they try to set up the equipment, it doesn't work, and they're making mad phone calls. It's like, well, what's it doing?
Right.
Oh, it's not working. How do we fix it? No developers, there's no engineers.
See, that needs to change. Yeah. Especially, you would be a perfect candidate for this because you have quite an online presence. You are
well known in the Android community.
Yeah.
A little notorious maybe with HTC right now, but
they're obviously trying to change things.
Yep, and they've definitely got some good directions going. Talking to them not just about the unlocking phones, they've got some good direction. They're starting to really embrace the community, embrace Android.
We just need to work on hiring execs.
Execs are generally slow to move. They really, and that's one of the joys that I like about NVIDIA. Jensen, our CEO, he really does embrace the moving industry. He follows it, he's on it, but a lot of companies don't. A lot of companies just lack that direction.
Startups that usually don't get bought out usually have a pretty good developer.
Yeah, startups are generally good because they don't have a choice. When you got limited resources, you've got limited people that can help, you really got to embrace the community because you're not going to have a QA department of 200 people. You got a QA department of maybe 5 people. So when you release, it's going to have bugs, it's going to have problems. The developers need that positive feedback, the constructive. That's one of the problems that occasionally plagues XDA is reminding the forums, the people on the forums, we need constructive feedback. Saying shit don't work, well, your shit didn't help. You got to be constructive. You got to help us make the product because we're developers. We're individual developers. We're doing this on our spare time. Sacrificing time with family, sacrificing, time to just relax. We got day jobs, and we've all got day jobs. And, it's the community that's helping us figure out what it is, what's going wrong, when it's not working. And that's, every so often you get that person that they're expecting commercial quality for free. Well, it ain't there. Companies have the bigger companies have the advantage of being able to release. You expect, for instance, like NVIDIA, you expect a new graphics card from NVIDIA to be stable. You expect a new phone from Motorola to be stable. You're not expecting it to reboot and crash every 2 hours. They've got departments for that. If they don't do that, they fail. You're spending $600 on this device.
Do you think really see this attitude of users and upgrading developers? I would say that I think and the way they're afterward is fun. That was a brand new way of interacting.
Well, we actually saw it before that. If you look in the smartphone realm, if you go way back, you actually get to Microsoft and the Windows Mobile. Now, they didn't have an app store, but there were websites like Pocket Gear was big. And with Pocket Gear, you really had the small developers that were trying to come to their own, sell software for the device. And as strange as this is going to sound, Microsoft at the time was the ultimate in open platform for the users. It was a closed source system, but there was no restrictions on side loading. There was no locks, nothing. No carriers were allowed to. 99-cent ringtone, no. You could do what you wanted with the phone. Apple came out with their device, and it wasn't a smartphone. The iPhone 1 was as dumb as any other, flip phone that was out. The only thing the iPhone 1 had when it came out was a web browser that wasn't a web browser. It was capable of real websites. And that's something Microsoft screwed up on Windows Mobile initially. Well, they did use the touch screen. Correct. They did bring the touch screen, but really what got people on the iPhone was that they could interact with the phone and go to websites. They could use it, something that you were capable of doing with a flip phone. You could try to go to a website, but it sucked. It just sucked. And Apple made it so that it worked. And that, I mean, they really created a web phone. Then they were jailbroken and people were creating apps for it. Apple embraced it. Kudos to Apple for catching that people wanted to extend these phones, that it wasn't a web phone anymore, and then it was a smartphone. And then the App Store, Android came along, and we're seeing the carriers really starting to hopefully buckle. It seems to be the direction, although AT&T's fighting it tooth and nail, where it's no, lock the device down so that we control everything. If I buy a phone from HTC, I'm buying the hardware, I'm not buying the software. I expect to be able to put software on it that I want, within the exception. It's like a cable modem for internet access. I understand the cable company reserves the right to load certain firmware at the back end of that cable modem to keep me from stealing bandwidth, from stealing content. But they're not installing firmware that prevents me from going to websites or saying, no, we don't like Flash. We're going to prohibit you from having Flash. No, they're agnostic to the data that comes across as long as I pull it legally. And you're seeing the carriers are fighting that. Sprint is really good about it. Sprint really seems to embrace all of the community. And AT&T kind of the opposite, at least by show. They're really, no, we want to control every aspect of your phone experience. No, I'm paying AT&T for my data, and I'm paying them for a voice call, which would be nice if it wouldn't disconnect all the time. But
the cable modem,
yeah,
protect yourself, but then get the hell out of it.
Yep. We as a community, I mean, what we're seeing here is a massive turnout of people who are supporting a platform of openness and extensibility within the framework that we're given. I mean, tablets that aren't connected to carriers, that are open and adaptable. We're seeing cell phones that are really HTC with their unlock on the website. And if you look at the fine print, people are missing this when you go to the HTC's unlock. It even talks about the warranty is not entirely voided. And it kind of screwed the Nexus guys in the past, but it looks like they're really, again, they're catching on. They're not going to protect every part of an unlocked phone because we know an unlocked phone can be bricked, permanently bricked. They can be damaged. But, unlocking's not going to make the rocker switch break. And they're reading the warranty information on their unlock. They're really insinuating, hey, we'll cover, the rocker switch or the screen failing, in reasonable ways. We're just not going to cover the damage you do, unlocked.
Sit down and consider the possibility of at least helping kids work along, bringing it to HTC phones, not just Samsung phones, because you turn that phone into a developer for it,
Yep.
And then you don't have to worry about brick devices. You don't have to worry about
There's always going to be the risk of bricking. For instance, one of the developers, when we were working on unlocking the Evo 3D, the real unlock, which was eventually Alpha RevX actually came up with a solution. One of the routes we were looking at, though, from some of the other teams, managed to get control of the voltage regulator in the kernel, and we burned the phone out. We physically burned the chip out. HTC should not be held responsible for burning the chips out. We wouldn't have had to do that had they not locked the device, but
reasonable.
yeah. And the companies have been, one of the big complaints that we've heard, and one that we've been debunking quite a bit from those of us who work on things like FreeVote, Alpha RevX, Unrevote, is this whole, well, as long as they're going to void our warranties, these developers are going to, find ways to unlock the devices. And the answer to that is no. If you think for 1 minute that I am going to spend a month of not playing with my daughter, not playing with my son, not seeing my wife, so that some jerk can save $20 on a warranty? No, that's not, they're missing what it's about. They're missing the point. You want a warranty that covers it even S off, go with Square Trade. They'll cover you. They got it. Yep, they'll cover rooted phones and soft phones, which is great. They've got a great policy. But I mean, people forget that this is a lot of time from a lot of engineers. What we're doing is we're trying to make it so that the crowd that's here, that loves cyanogen, loves, you know, the custom ROMs that we're seeing on XDA, all the great work from the developers, it's so that stuff can run. It's not to save a warranty. And, you know, we're seeing the companies are taking it. And the more they adapt, the more they adjust and accept the direction, you're going to see the devices start being, you know, unbrickable. NVIDIA offers NV Flash, which is effectively exactly what they're talking about, the unbrickable mod. If you take the ViewSonic G tablet, a tablet that I use regularly for development, it shipped with effectively the unbrickable mod. I mean, NVIDIA said, here's the flash tool. You can repartition everything. You don't like the partition sizes? Fine, change the flash information. All right there, available to go. That's the G tab. What you're seeing is some of the companies like Motorola, Asus, using what's called the SBK, the Secure Boot Key. And that locks the device out. And that ties our hands back to device, you screw up anything in the bootloader, thing has to be shipped back to the manufacturer. Why? This is ridiculous. You know, accepting that Android is built on the developers. It's built on the openness of the developers and the customization. What I want on my phone may not be what you want on your phone. And the fact that we can agree to disagree on a platform and have that experience makes it great. The phones are becoming ours. Smartphones are going away. It's going to be a handheld, portable computer and communications device. This thing is going to be beyond smartphone. It's going to be everything.
How many years until we start seeing customized phones? Like, as in, you can go on a website and build a custom computer. Build a custom
I would probably say, if we ever see it, we're probably talking at least 3 to 5 years. The reason for that is that as you start to go to microization, look at laptops. Laptops are a perfect example. You want to buy a custom desktop PC? Pick your graphics card, pick your processor revision, go to the laptop, and suddenly that selection is shorter because you're trying to cram all this stuff into a smaller device. The smaller the package, the less customization fits. But yeah, I honestly don't think that's ever going to go. What you're going to see though is I see if the companies start accepting it and adapting to it, you're going to be able to go into a Sprint store. I like to use Sprint because I like Sprint. You're going to be able to go into a Sprint store and say, hey, I like this phone. I want this one with CM7 or Cyanogen mod, probably be 8 by that point, ICS or something. And they say, sure, no problem. They take it out of the box, plug it into a system, select CM from the list of available OSs for it, and hand it to you. There you go. Oh, you're going in there, I'm getting this for my 12-year-old daughter. I don't want her to be able to do stuff with it. All right, not a problem. We're going to lock down the device. You give us the key, we will program it with the key. I mean, taking things like the NVIDIA SBK, take that idea, but instead of the SBK being something from the manufacturer to effectively piss you off, to the parent who wants, no, I don't want my kids to be able to have this. Take that same exact phone, take it to a corporation, say NVIDIA. Oh, we're going to put, we want all the employees to have corporate email access. This thing's got to be locked down. This is secure data. Corporation picks the key, it locks all the devices. You as the employee, you don't get to customize this phone. They customize that phone for you. It's being provided to you from work. All the same phone. HTC walks out with 3 sales there, 3 different business sales from one device. Now they can spend their time focusing on making pretty phones that, okay, you want a pink case and you want it to have a different screen, then they can start focusing on that.
Thank you very much.